President of the French Chamber of Commerce and Executive Chairman of Cartier, Arnaud Bomberger. Thank you.
I'm very pleased and honored to welcome you all today in the first ever Franco-British Energy Conference organized by the French Chamber of Commerce in Great Britain with the support of the French Embassy in the UK and in partnership with the Franco-British Council and ESCP Europe Business School. And here we are. And I would add, what a timing. I suppose that everybody knows what I'm talking about. I mean, just all the papers, all the radios, all the television, and we'll see. And the good thing is that we'll have a lot of speakers and some exceptional speakers.
Because it's a huge challenge, not just for Britain, but for the world, but certainly for Britain, to meet the targets we've set ourselves to reduce our carbon footprint and meet our carbon reduction targets. We're going to need all of the technologies involved in energy production to do that. No one of them on their own, nuclear on its own, wind on its own, solar on its own, no one on their own is going to deliver what we need.
I do want to just say two words about the Franco-British Council. It is an organisation that was set up 40 years ago. We've just celebrated our 40th anniversary, set up by Heath and Pompidou to promote good relations between our two countries.
And today, all the major French energy companies are operating in this country and have proven expertise in all the technology as well as in managing the complete industrial process from production to distribution. EDF Energy, GDF Suez, Total, Areva, Alstom, among so many others. These past years have seen our companies' investments in this sector run into billions of pounds, create around 30 to 40,000 jobs in this country, and cover the whole UK, from Scotland to the Channel Islands. They permeate the whole of the UK's economic fabric, and my recent visit showed the extent of the ties between our countries in the field of energy.
But beyond that, I think we need to take the questions as they are. Is it possible to improve the energy company obligations, to make it more efficient, less costly? And the answer is yes, we can. Is it possible to have the rollout of the smart meters, 12 billion investment in this country, more efficient, less costly, with more engagement of the customers? Yes, we can. Is it possible to look at the current very high generation, intermittent generation feed-in tariff to see if we get it better? Yes, we can. Is it logical to see if the levy control framework, which is about how the numbers stack up, has to be reviewed in a way which is passing the affordability test? Yes, we can. I think there are many good questions about the costs which are underpinning the prices that we need to take heads on in a very constructive way.
There are many companies, ourselves and other companies, a lot of French companies, who are ready to put more investment into the UK once we get through the complexities of this policy. Building infrastructure is exciting, and I think one of the things that we've lost a little bit is the excitement about building new infrastructure.
It is very clear to us at HSBC, obviously as providers of finance, providers of both debt and equity finance globally to this industry, that policymakers have to make difficult choices here in relation to the energy sector and its structure.
The Energy UK represents the energy industry, so that includes not just our largest and integrated energy companies, but a whole wide range of independent generators and an increasing number of independent suppliers. Too often one does not realise just how plural this marketplace is here in the UK and how that is benefiting and serving the country well.
And today, if you look at the energy mix in the UK, 32% of energy demand in UK was supplied by oil in 2012 and 35% by gas, which means 2/3 of the energy supply in UK was supplied by hydrocarbons.
Open to simplifying the operation of the market, finding ways to allow customers to understand and compare. And just as one example of that, one of the things that we at EDF Energy have been arguing for is the idea of a single national unit rate for energy, a way of making it easy for customers to understand what their consumption of gas and electricity will be, and making it easy for them to compare what it will cost them with the different suppliers. Again, making it simple, making it transparent.
Just on that point of stability, I mean, you know, your sort of your description of what kind of topics came up in the interviews this morning was very interesting. There seems to be all these sort of wild cards now coming in, like we even talked about nationalisation being back on the agenda. Affordability has obviously come to the top of the political agenda. The other bits of the trilemma seem to have fallen by the wayside. What are the implications for energy policy?
Yes, and I think we do need to consider that. But I say that nationalisation one, I don't think that is on the political agenda at all. It's just one of the many things people are talking about. Because there is a sort of general feeling that there is somehow an easy solution, which means that they pay less for their energy, their bill is lower, and somehow it can be done in a completely painless way. And all the other things can carry on the investment if one's interested in investment, you know. And that detachment is actually very difficult, not just for ourselves in industry, but it's a very difficult one for policymakers to address.
It's interesting the contrast between the UK and France at the moment on shale gas. I mean, obviously France has taken a very, very strong line banning fracking, or moratorium anyway. The UK, on the contrary, is encouraging the development of shale gas and other unconventional resources. Do you think that the UK has got the balance right on specifically on shale gas?
Now, also surprised because today we focus energy on electricity, and again, electricity is part of the energy demand, but a small part of the energy demand. Yes, UK is an island in terms of electricity, but UK is not at all an island in terms of oil, gas, etc. UK is part of global game, and UK energy policy has to take into account this global game.
But the cooperation between France and the UK on energy goes actually much further than nuclear, though critical though that is, and symbolic though that is. Obviously, EDF running our nuclear power plants some time now, and of course making this major £16 billion in investment challenge. We had to change the way we did business in the UK, particularly with respect to electricity, whether they're in France or the UK. The governments are taking the affordability issue extremely seriously. Yes, for households, to make sure we're protecting not just the fuel poor, but those people who are struggling with cost of living. And there are many ways that we are doing that, through direct payments to some, through energy efficiency, and through making our markets as competitive as possible.
Can we, as this is a long-term project and initiative, get the younger generation really engaged? That might help the situation in terms of everybody understanding the affordability. Let's grow our own generation of experts in that area.
Also within that, there's a big focus on skills and expertise in R&D in universities and so on. So I'm not complacent. We've got a lot of work to do in setting out strategies. It's one thing writing strategies, another thing making sure it's implemented and followed through. But we know that it's absolutely vital that we do.
Well, I'm wondering, just a question, whether companies are not too elitist when they define their required skills. They always want, most of them, they want to have their famous companies, well, they think they should recruit the best of the best, first honors, and so on, which means that they will focus on a very narrow range of people, and if they all struggle to get the best, well, indeed there is a problem. So there is a dominance of engineering culture in energy companies, and it's obvious that you can't recruit anyone but an engineer. As well as if you need
to integrate part of engineering training in our programs. We are quite open to this. And as I said, we are all developing a digital approach to education, which helps a lot to do that. And we are indeed, and I repeat that, quite open to cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Patrick. I'd like to introduce Robert Davies, the Chief Executive of the UK.
I'd like to focus, if I may, on manufacturing. Manufacturing equipment supply is important because for a company to become an equipment supplier or manufacturer, they go through a very long apprenticeship, they go through a very long system of training and clearance process to get to a position to supply. And they're not going to supply for one project, they want to supply globally. It's very important to see how, by working together in partnership, we can start to build the UK back to where it was, which is a major nuclear supplier supporting a major nuclear industry. It will start at NYC and it will move on to other projects.
Now I'd like to turn to Renaud Chazan, Director of SPEED.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will try to make three different perspectives to illustrate which large areas of skills will be needed in my view. At first, as a representative of Spain, a European mechanical and electrical contractor with around 4,000 employees in the UK. The third and last one is the design adaptation to the UK standards and norms. It is not irrelevant to think that all the future British nuclear power stations will be built from an original foreign design.
I would claim that partnerships have to have 3 or 4 key characteristics. If they're going to mean anything, they have to be durable. They have to be, secondly, sustainable. That's not quite the same as durable. Thirdly, they have to be mutually beneficial. And fourthly, and the point that I'd really like to make, is they have to be mutually comprehensible. Durability and sustainability will only come about if we understand that we cannot switch partnerships on and off. They may go in a wave from high activity to less activity.
And one of the challenges that we are facing already, and we've been facing in the electrical engineering world, is the shortage of capacity. We believe there is a lot still to do in the city and guild of the electrical engineering or energy in general in the UK to try to promote and dynamize all these activities in order to have the capacities that we need in the near future.
In 2015, there will be 900,000 vacancies across Europe for people working in IT alone. Engineering is about being part of a team. It's about cracking problems.
John, maybe I could turn to you to open up the debate. I mean, those points that Maggie was identifying about the sort of, it almost sort of evokes a sort of sense of crisis really in engineering as a subject. I mean, is this something that you've identified yourself in recent years, the teaching and studying of engineering in this country?
I think it would be wrong to say that there's a crisis, but there clearly is an issue. And I think the issue certainly is one of gender. And the fact that the opportunities and significance of these subjects is not being effectively communicated because half the population doesn't see it as anything to do with them. And that's got to be wrong. And I think somewhere we've got to improve the messaging of what we're doing so that people want to be a part of it and help resolve some of these barriers.
So, thank you very much for that. Robert, I mean, in that regard, I mean, you said 50% of the construction value will come into the UK from the sea.
There are 2 challenges for UK's manufacturers and UK supply chain. One is to be competitive, and secondly is to have the right quality coming on time. And remember that the weight of paper is probably double that of the weight of the equipment that you're actually going to produce.
Rosie, if I can bring you in, how is the UK energy sector seen as a sort of destination for investment now?
A lot of involvement from the continent, and obviously bringing some expertise or some best practices that always needed to be shared locally. Partnership, whether internal partnership or external partnership, because obviously that's the only way we would succeed in the long term.
The engineering potential, or the interest in engineering as a profession is just not there. I mean,
Actually, I would disagree with that. I think it's there, but it's latent. And I mean, what we see event after event is the real enthusiasm.
In relation to the pay that is offered to graduates, new graduates in engineering, compared to many other areas. So I'm not just talking about financial services.
And so on. So I think there is also, that's a point which, in my view, is not just a detail. And it's a handicap probably for energy activities because most of the projects are located in areas which are not necessarily the place where people want to live.